What's up, everybody? Joe Cook here again. On this video, I'm going to be talking about my favorite anime show from Japan called Death Note. I'm sure a lot of people out there have seen this show. I know a lot of people have seen it. I know I have seen every episode. I own the whole series on a DVD set. It's my favorite. It's one of my favorite TV shows I've ever seen. It's my favorite anime I've ever seen. So it's very good. If you haven't seen it before, what it's about there's like two realms. There's the human world, and then there's the Shinigami realm, which is the Shinigami are gods of death. They have notebooks that they use that they put humans' names in so that that people can die because that's that's just how the world is. People die, and it's just how it is, and and in that show that's how people die, is that they write their names in the books. And on the very first episode of the series, the Shinigami named Ryuk, he drops his death note into the human world, and a human called Light Yagami picks it up. When he picks it up, he's still in high school. Uh, he's a very intelligent person, and he has a very distinct sense of what he believes is right and wrong, and what is wrong with the world and how it needs to be. And when he picks the Death Note up, he thinks it's a joke or a hoax or something. So he just leaves it in his backpack and then he gets home, and he looks at it. Well, he actually looks at it when he picks it up, and it says in there, it says the 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 human whose name is written in this notebook shall die. And he just laughs it off like it's a joke, and he doesn't believe it at all. And then when he gets home, he takes it out of his backpack, um, looks at it again, and then he goes over the rules of the book, and it says the human whose name is written in this notebook shall die. The death shall not occur unless the person has that person's face uh, in their head while they're writing the name. if if the details of that person's death is written within the within 40 seconds of writing their name, that cause of death will happen. If the cause of death is not specified, that person will simply die of a heart attack. And the first time he uses it, the death note, he thinks it's a joke, so he just tries it out to see if it works. And he turns on the television, he puts the news on, and there's a guy at a school holding teachers and children hostage, and they're talking about it on the news, and they put and while they're talking about it, they put the guy's name and face up on the screen. So he looks at the guy's picture and writes the name down, and then it's like about a minute or so passes and nothing happens. And uh and then so it's like, well, I guess it was a hoax after all. And then all of a sudden, uh the SWAT team all like starts charging into the school and letting the hostages out. And then the reporters are like frantic about it. They like have no idea what happened, and then they're like, "We just have report inside that that the that the suspect has been found dead in the building." And then Light Yagami, he's shocked. He has no he had he's just he cannot believe that there's actually a notebook that can kill people by writing their name in it. And it's a very good show. It's one of my favorites. Uh, Something I want to talk about in this thing is what I would do. What he did when he found the notebook is he decided that he was going to clean up the world by writing down names of all the major criminals of the world, and to continue writing names of criminals in the notebook, Um, so the world would be full of people that he judged to be kind, honest, and hardworking. And then he announced to the Shinigami Ryuk once he showed up that that Light was going to be the god of the new world. That just, okay, if you say so, dude. I thought, and then it's a really good show. There's about, I think there is 20, or wait, there's how many, I can't remember how many episodes. 20. It's I think it's 27. I might be wrong. Or it might be more than that. I have I'm watching it again. I just started watching it again for like the fifth, like the fifth time I think to watch the series all the way through. My favorite episode in the series is I believe it's called Revival. It's 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 uh it's it's the episode where there was a part in the series where he had where Light had given up ownership of the Death Note, therefore losing all his memories of ever finding the Death Note and ever using it or anything that happened related to the Death Note. Or anyway, something I forgot to mention about. There's a very de- intelligent detective called L, who has solved a lot of the major mysteries and crimes in the world. Uh, um, and then he starts working with the Japanese task force to find well, the people on the internet who support what Light Yagami is doing, who don't know who he is, they call him Kira, which is Japanese for the Japanese word for killer. And anyway, uh, he he demand after a while, after he's already joined the task force, because he had put doubt in L's mind that he was Kira, because well, L was the one who was able to discover that the person killing people was living in Japan. And once he approached Light when he was at his graduation ceremony, and then he turned his head to him and he said, "I'm L," and then Light was like, "What?" And he's like, he's like, "You got to be kidding me. He wouldn't just come up to me and announce that he's L. Is he crazy or something?" And then uh okay, anyway, and then there's this episode where he demands that L confine him to a holding cell because he says that he might be Kira and not be conscious and just be not be conscious of it. And he stays in that cell for around 50 days. What and then he says this phrase that he told the Shinigami Ryuk, that once he hears him say it, that means that's the signal that he wants to give up ownership of the Death Note. And once he does that, he loses all memories of ever having the Death Note or ever using it or having anything to do with the Death Note. So um and then his memories stayed gone for at least a few episodes. I can't remember exactly how many. And then there's the episode Revival, which is my favorite of the series, where there's the person that the Shinigami Rem, who is the Shinigami who follows the girl Misa Amane, who has another notebook that Rem gave her. Um, they call her the second Kira because she made the deal with the Shinigami. There's this deal where if you the Shinigami, when they look at a person, they can see that person's name and lifespan above their head. And if a person can make the deal to get the eyes of a Shinigami, and the price for those eyes is half that person's remaining lifespan. So if someone were to live for 20 was supposed to live for 50 more years, they would live for 25 more years. If the person was supposed to live for one more year, they would live for 6 more months. And Misa, the first time she made the ideal, she used it to find Light and meet him because she had convinced herself that she was in love with him, because he had punished the people who murdered her parents, and she wanted nothing more than to be his girlfriend. And anyway, the best part in that episode is, well, wait, before I say that, there's the person who ended up getting the Death Note after Light relinquished ownership of it was this guy named Higachi, who was a part of this corporate company that was using the Death Note for their own personal gains, so that they would get ahead in the business world, and they were killing people who were their competitors. But when Rim brought the notebook to Higachi, she made it very clear to him that he could use it for the Death Note for whatever he wanted to, but he had to consecutively write the names of criminals who were reported on the news and the internet every single day in the notebook, if he wanted to use it, and he did because he wanted to use it. And eventually, they discovered that he had become the one that was using the power to kill people, that had gained the power to kill people without even being there. And so when they discovered that, there was a news broadcast that they were going to announce his identity on the news, and then he went frantically around the city trying to find the name of the guy who was trying to tell people who he was, so he could kill him. And he was never able to find it. So he was in his car driving down the road, and then there was a police blockade, and then he had to stop because he couldn't go any further because they were blocking his way. And then they surrounded his car, and he had made the ideal because he decided there was no other option than to use the ideal so he could find out the guy's name, which it was Matsuda, one of the people on the task force to find Kira. And anyway, once they caught up to him, he put a gun to his head and he said, "Stay back! I'll shoot! I swear!" And then a sniper from a helicopter shot the gun out of his hand, and then they arrested him, and they told him he needs to tell them. They told him to tell him how he kills people, and then L threatened him by saying, "If you refuse to cooperate, I'll use whatever means necessary to get it out of you." And so he said, he told people about the notebook and how it kills, and they found it in his car, in his suitcase or his bag or whatever, and what for the first police officer to touch it, I believe, was Light's father, Light Yagami's father, who was police chief, and when he touched it, he saw the Shinigami who the Death Note had originally belonged to, and it freaked him out, and he's like, "Ah, that's a monster!" And then they brought the notebook back to the helicopter and gave it to L, and then he looked at it, and then he saw the Shinigami, and he started thinking all these rapid racing thoughts, like he's like, "There have to be two notebooks. There have to be two notebooks." And then Light grabs the notebook from him, and then it's a really cool part when he grabs the notebook because he starts screaming, his eyes light up like a light bulb, and then all these images start flashing around. He all of a sudden, the memories of when he had the notebook before he had lost his memories came back to him, and what he had to do was, in order for him to keep his memories, he had to write the person who had ownership of the Death Note before him, while still holding on to while still touching the Death Note. but he couldn't let L see him writing name of the notebook or leave a name in there for him to see that Light had to have written in there because he was the one holding it. So he pulled this little metal piece on his watch like 3 or 4 times, and it popped out this little compartment in the watch, and there was a small piece of the Death Note, and he used the little pin pricker, and he pricked his finger, and he could use blood from his finger to write the name of Higachi on the piece of the Death Note, and then Higachi died. And yeah, that was my favorite episode of the series. Anyway, what I want to talk about is, if the Death Note were real, how would I use it? Would I use it? What would I use it for? If I were the one, if Death Note were real and I were the one to pick it up, the way I would use it is I would cause a complete shutdown of every single government on the planet to create total anarchy over the whole planet. I would write the name of every single world leader, every elected official, in the notebook, and then every time somebody tried to succeed the leaders, I would write their name in the notebook. I would not allow there to be a government because I don't believe there should be a government. The only purpose of a government is to control, to control the lives of people, to decide what people should have, what people should be able to do, and that's a hindrance of free will, and that should not happen. So if the Death Note was real and I had one, if I had it, that's how I would use it. If you've happened to see Death Note, if you like if you like anime, if you've heard of Death Note, if you want to talk about it, go ahead and discuss it in the comment section for this video. Let me know if you were ever to find a Death Note, if it was real, if you found one, how would you use it? What would you use it for? That's really all I got to say for this video. Okay, at the end of this video, this really has nothing to do with Death Note or anime, but the reason I started making YouTube videos was there's a guy named Josh Armijo. He is he is a diehard supporter of heavy music, metal, grindcore, hardcore, heavy metal, just all kinds of good music, and he really cares about music and the people who make it. And so if you want, and he has like so many reviews. So if there's so many bands that I didn't know about that I found out about that I was able to look into and listen to and find. So please support his channel, and if you like what you see on my channel, please subscribe so you'll be able to see more. And trust me, there's going to be a lot more videos to come. So thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you later.